This is Instant Clarity Podcast, the show where your life's questions get answered. My name is Tjaša Dorelay, and I'm so excited for today's episode. I'm channeling God Horus, goddess Isis, and Hathor, and they reveal the secrets of ancient Egyptian civilization. Do you want to know how they materialized their world? Well, you get answers in this episode, so listen up. Dear consciousness, here we are, Goddess Isis, God Horus, and Goddess Hathor. We are opening the doors for you to enter into the chamber of the secrets. First, you have to understand that every civilization that has existed on the planet Earth had activated different chakras. In the time of the Egypt civilization being the strongest when they were created, actually, they had activated their 6th and 7th chakra the most. Meaning that their purpose in life was physical and energy combination co-creation. We will repeat this again. Physical and energy combination co-creation. Their purpose was to create physical reality by shifting energy, which they succeeded. This was actually their joy and their pleasure. They saw visions in their 7th and 6th chakra. And those visions were there from the eye of the universe where all the information exists. So they saw the visions and they quite simply said, let's create this vision. Let's materialize this vision in physical form on this plane of reality. The civilization of Egypt existed before, not on planet Earth, but on other planes of realities, not being known by the name the civilization of Egypt, but still there is the consciousness of this civilization in the matrix of the creation of the universe. And when they decided to incarnate and come to the planet Earth, their task was to bring the visions from the eye of the universe to life, just so they can prove that it is possible on this physical, dense planet Earth to create anything they saw and envisioned in their visions. They were connected so much to the oils, to the mystical realms, which they entered through the use of oils. Especially the frequency of oils that were activated by the crystal amber were especially powerful to activate their visions. The best way to understand how they lived is to understand that they had their spiritual practices. Obviously, they didn't call them like that, but they had their spiritual practices, which was just the way how they lived. Their practices were part of their lives. So every day, they entered the tunnel to reach the visions. They used different oils, they used the crystal amber to touch their visions in this tunnel. And when those visions came through their channel, they started to materialize them, to create them, to make them physical. They used many different ways to do that. First, they used the light. They gather the light in the glass and also in the crystals, and then they formed different crystal grids that then created the physical form the light and the crystal together created a different vibrational field in which they infused the codes, the visions, and the physical form was created. The second thing they did was to use the frequency of the sound by creating sounds that were moving physical things and creating things as well out of this movement. They also use the power of their energy centers, understanding that their physical body is emitting different frequencies and every organ in the body holds different frequencies. So when they touched a certain organ, when they tuned into the frequency of the organ and the chakra corresponding to that organ, they were able to transform this frequency into the shift of the frequency in the outside realms, creating physical material forms. They wanted to make things bigger and bigger every time. So when they created something, the next time they said, okay, let's do it even bigger. Let's make this thing even taller. Let's do this even more powerfully. There was never enough. And this is also one of the reasons why this civilization later disappeared, or maybe their power started to fade, because they soon started activating that part of the brain which is in beta brain waves, which is not in theta, in the creation mode, but is in the analytical mode, creating the decline of the civilization. There were different waves of the power of the civilization of Egypt, and each wave was correlated to a certain creation they did. And at the beginning, their creations were smaller because they just came to the planet and they didn't know exactly how to combine the physical, the material, and the energy, the frequency world. But later on, they were able to create better, bigger, even more powerful creations, physical forms. And when they saw that they can create anything, well, lower parts of their brain activated as well. Also, lower chakras started activating, meaning that from these visionaries, creators, they also became more human. They became more connected to their egos. And when this happened, well, the decline started, because you cannot exist in the ego and at the same time exist in your power of conscious co-creation at the same time. We will say this again. You cannot be in your ego, in your analytical beta brainwaves part of you, and at the same time use the theta brainwaves to create and co-create and manifest and materialize, because these are two different parts of your existence. This is what is really interesting about the civilization of Egypt, is that they still exist. The civilization of Egypt still exists, but their frequency of the brain is much more in the beta waves, meaning they are more connected to their ego nowadays. And this is why their power is not as big as it was in the past. This is not to judge, it is just to understand and recognize that every civilization that existed had its ups and downs, their creation and their silent times and eras. And right now, the civilization of Egypt is in the stillness era, but we see that in thousands and thousands and thousands of years in the future, they will emerge again, because the consciousness of the planet will shift again. The civilization of Egypt was really in divine connection to the goddesses, the gods, the celestial realm, because their brain were really activated in the theta brain waves. So they were visionaries, they were psychics, they were oracles, they were able to tell everything, all the wisdom to reply to any question, because they really saw everything. They used, as we said, the power of crystals, the power of oils, the power of their inner organs to touch those visions and to enter into this tunnel. As soon as they became bigger and bigger and bigger, the decline started happening because their ego self started coming to the surface. And this is the reason why this civilization in its primary vibration has died, because there was the shift from the theta to beta brainwaves, the shift from the 6th and 7th chakra to the 1st and 2nd chakra. And when they really started shifting this consciousness, they, as a society and civilization, started creating things from the physical, not from the energy. Creating different wars, creating different violence, creating different robberies, different heists, different even con games, because they started activating lower parts of their existence. The land itself, the civilization of Egypt was not based only in now country Egypt, but it was spread more around that area as well in other countries. But at that time, this was only one country. There were no borders as you know them right now, because the people itself belonged to the same civilization, even though they lived in groups that were maybe not connected, but they belonged to the same civilization. We will not go there in this channeling, but what you have to understand is one of the ways how the civilization of Egypt was growing was by the power of conscious sexuality and sacredness of entering the intimacy, by understanding that every time you enter a sexual intercourse, you are actually entering a portal of manifestation and creation. And they were really good manifestors of their reality by also using the sexual energies. They use the sexual energy to activate their inner organs, because every time a person, even nowadays, you still have this ability, because this is the code that the civilization of Egypt has left on the planet. So every time they enter the sexual intercourse with the intention of the heart and the intention of the merging of the souls, they were able to create this cosmic orbit through their physical body and through the physical body of the person with whom they were creating this sexual experience. And when both of the parties were in this cosmic orbit with the same intention, they were able to download the visions, the codes, the information, the exact steps how they can create something. And sometimes they even didn't create it. They were just entering the sexual intercourse with the intention to gathering information. And, many technological advances that you are now present with, that you think that you have developed in the nowadays, in the present times, were actually already grounded in the land of Egypt so many years ago, thousands and thousands years ago, when they were just, having sacred sex and they were entering this field of infinite possibilities. And when the certain person touched a certain information and brought it in the field of the planet Earth, this information stayed there. And we see right now that many technological advances and, let's say, technologies that are now created are not from the now. They were already downloaded on the planet Earth in the times of Egypt and are now just being activated. So the purpose of the primary Egyptian civilization was to bring visions to life, or just ground the visions to planet Earth's field. So now you can touch this field and you can get visions and you can get specific steps and formulas how you can create anything. They were really visionaries and masters of combining the physical and the energy with the intention of co-creation. With this, we leave you here with the last blessing from the civilization of Egypt. So close your eyes, swallow saliva in your mouth, and just listen with your heart. Kiang kang kontong ya lang nak kiamano hapa hulan tong kangka wanging wantang kiang konto itia kona ikalapana kitiung ka wintintang ka intontia lang kiak kian tontong inganto intantia ta kialapana unkantia to ikiatoka no ikialakanata inkonto intinte len kiawak tintianko inta kialanko ayanti. With this, we are closing the portal of this consciousness being brought to you through this channeling. We bless you, we love you, and we invite you to stay open to receive visions, you personally, and you as a society, and you as a new civilization can create on planet Earth in the present times. With love, Goddess Isis, Goddess Hathor, and God Horus. I wish the ancient secrets you received today have touched your heart, expanded your consciousness, and inspired you to become conscious leader of your life. If they did, share this episode with your conscious friends so their consciousness can enlarge as well. And let's stay connected on Instagram at Tjaša Dorelay. And remember, your vibration creates your situation.